Hola amigos, welcome to my channel. My name is George Slackegg. In the last video I showed you Barbara's bike and how I was working on it, and I asked you to guess what year did you think it was? Well, here's the answer. The bike is working good now and Barbara's actually enjoying it. But what about my bike? Well, you're in for another story. So I found this bicycle on Marketplace, and it would be about 3.5 hour walking from here, so I'm gonna take a cab. If the bike's good, it's gonna take an hour or so, or 50 minutes to find my way back. I think it's more like an hour. But yeah, that's the plan. Barbara's gonna do, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stay here and study. Yeah, today I have another adventure coming. Got a bike that I found. 2,500 pesos for a bike that's supposedly like new. So I went as far with the bus as I'm comfortable of going, and now I'm gonna, because it's a shopping center here, I'm gonna be able to grab myself a taxi to go and get where I'm going. But first I'll go in there, use the bathroom. So I got a bike, but it's got no air in the tires, and it was 2,000 pesos. Have a look. Uh-oh. Well, there were like 2 or 3 bikes that I seen on the internet at that same pawn shop, and this was the best one that was available, so I have to find somebody to pump me some air in those tires, because it's about 15 kilometers to go back to where I need to go. There was a bike shop with a pump 2 blocks down. It cost me 30 pesos to inflate the tires, but the big question was, would they hold up? So this thing actually works. Now I got 15 kilometers to go back to the house. So I'm literally wobbling my way back to where we're staying. Yeah, I stopped here for a drink. The bike so far, it works really well. The tires held up, front brake's good. There's probably a little bit of play in the bottom bracket, not much. This all works okay. Needs a lot of cleaning and TLC. The one thing that's a concern is the shifter on this side, so I cannot get out of low range. So 2,000 pesos, how much is 2,000 divided by 12? Maybe 170, something like that. It's a bike I'll be able to ride, that's the main point here. I mean, I already rode about probably 10 kilometers on it now, and well, I know I'm gonna make it back to the apartment, so that's a good thing. I'll talk to you in a little while. Cheers. So finally, after probably an hour and a half or so riding all over the place and not knowing exactly where I was, now I'm finally back on the bike lane I'm familiar with. The problem was, like, I knew kind of where it had to be, but there's so much traffic here that to cross one of these avenues there, like you see right about there, see the cars there? Yeah, it's a major undertaking, but from here on I know exactly where to go, and it's very simple, and it's actually quite beautiful. It's probably not the shortest way, but perhaps it's the best one because it's a bike lane. Yeah. I gotta tell you, getting two bikes in working order for cheap in Mexico is just as hard as bringing your own, or pretty close. Maybe it's just as hard. I just have to experience this. I got a bike. I got it for 2,000.
Okay, yeah, because it was more, wasn't it?
It was 2,500. I got it for 2,000, but there's reasons for it.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, you want to see? It's not as good as brand new, and I pointed it out to the guy, and I told him, you know, the bearings are a little bit loose, the brakes weren't working, there was no air in the tires. I only found out the derailleur here, yeah, well, it's the shifter that's not working. The derailleur is fine. I don't know how I'm going to solve that, because I have only low range right now, but I rode it all the way here. The derailleur in the back is working. I don't even know what time it is. It was like quite the adventure.
You talked about the bearings?
Yeah.
That might be a problem.
Yes, it was. But there was more. I went to work bright and early the next morning. First order of the day, get rid of this annoying kid seat. It was so much in my way on this ride. Now that that is done, let's check out the rear wheel. The freewheel is fine. Now, the axle though, it's a little bit stiffer than I like it. Everything needs a good cleaning, so here we go. Now let's check out that rear bearing. I'm hoping that somebody just over tightened it a bit and it's no damage in there. It feels better already. I'm not equipped to take off the freewheel, but at least I can have a look at one side of this bearing, and I'm finding it doesn't look so bad. It's caged bearings. So I put some grease in there and put it back. Now to adjust it properly. I think I got it, but my wrench is stuck. There, that's okay. So this axle was a little bit tougher to adjust than Barbara's because, yeah, the wrench that I have here isn't really a cone wrench. It is a pedal wrench. Now, good thing I have a brush. Most of this dirt is just mud that's stuck. Okay, time to put the wheel back in. The chain is totally usable but dried up, so here we go. Well, I found that all the spokes on the rear wheel, they are very loose. So I'm lubricating all the nipples and I'm gonna let it sit overnight like this. And then tomorrow I'm going to take the spoke wrench and I'm gonna tighten all these spokes because yeah, I'm a little bit worried that too loose, so that when I go over this cobblestone and stuff, it's not gonna be good. They gotta be just right. And I mean, when I go like this, I know what feels right and what is too loose. This wheel, they're too loose, but other than that, the hub is fine. I managed to adjust it even though I don't have the correct cone wrench. The pedal wrench did the job barely. It's almost a little bit too thick, but yeah, so this is where I'm at. I cleaned up the chain. See, now it's got lubricant on there. Like the whole thing, it moves pretty nice. Cleaned up the chain wheels, the sprockets, everything. Like, should make a big difference in the way this bike rides. I even tightened up the bottom bracket a little bit with the 17mm wrench, and water pump pliers that I have. So good morning. This is another day. See, I got a spoke wrench here that is part of my CrankBrothers tool. Right there, the number 1 spoke wrench fits on these spokes, and I'm gonna have to turn each one of these spoke nipples 1 turn counterclockwise, and then we'll see how tight the spokes get. Should be a whole lot better than it is right now without over tightening them. Well, those of you with experience truing wheels may realize that a whole turn is probably way too much, and I tell you, I know better than that. But sometimes I have to be reminded the hard way, and that's exactly what's just gonna happen. That's not what I was hoping for, because now I broke a spoke. Maybe it was too ambitious to tighten them a whole turn. So go backwards, untighten them half a turn. Actually, I gotta get the wheel out now. That's kind of dumb. Yeah, but such is life. Where was I gonna get a spoke from? I'll have to tell you in part 2 of this video. Now, let me ask you, do you think it's worth it to come to Mexico without your bikes and buy used bikes here? The alternative would have been to bring our own bikes at the cost of $400 Canadian, which in US dollars probably is about still 300 or so for back and forth. Also, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel in case I haven't mentioned that yet. There are some affiliate links in the description as well, and if you feel generous, you can always support my channel with super thanks and buy me a coffee, whichever you prefer. Or just click the like button. That'll work too. Thank you.